better. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time for the Rundown with Rob Sanders.
Well, we're waiting.
Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world, the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us this afternoon as we get you squared away heading into some games. Tonight, we've got an NFL matchup. Tomorrow, Saturday? We've got several college games. I'll tell you what, we're going to go out to the phones in just a moment, and we're going to welcome in our buddy Tyler Crowder, who joins us every week to talk about some of the biggest games. I picked like 13 games last week, and it was not good. So Tyler does a lot better than I do. And he's going to join us today to go over some games. So we'll get Tyler on the line here and welcome him into the show. And he will give us some good games here to bet on this weekend. Let's try and get Tyler patched in here. Tyler, what's up, buddy? How are you?
What's up, Rob? Thanks for having me on, man.
Of course, Tyler's the host of Kicking It with Crowder, which is a cool little show to check out. Tyler gives us some good information, lots of good information on the sports betting world. Tyler, why don't we start with an NFL pick for tonight, because you've got the Carolina Panthers. Maybe Christian McCaffrey will be back on the field tonight. Maybe not. We don't know. I think he's going to play. And they're going to play against the 1-6 Atlanta Falcons, a team that has hurt your soul this season. What's the line on that game, and which way are you leaning?
Well, Carolina is -2.5 tonight, and I think that's a pretty good spread. I really like the under tonight. I think the under, depending on where you get it at, around 50 to 51 points, somewhere around there. I really like the under, 24-17 type ball game. Falcons have played better since getting rid of Dan Quinn. Of course, last week they lose on Todd Gurley scoring a touchdown. It's just, the Falcons just find ways to lose. I think it'll be a close game tonight. Carolina hasn't swept Atlanta in a long time.
13 seasons.
Yeah, they have not beat them twice in a row. So with that being said, I like the Falcons +2.5 tonight. I think it's going to be a really close game. Wouldn't be shocked if Carolina won by a point, 2 points, something that Falcons just find ways to lose. But I'll take the Falcons tonight +2.5. These Thursday night games are so tricky. You never really know what you're going to get out of your team. So if the Falcons can just play defense, just any type of defense versus Carolina offense, I think the Falcons can hang in there, but could go either way. Definitely a toss-up type game, Rob.
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup tonight as we get set for Thursday night football. And I kind of like that matchup. That should be pretty good, in my opinion. But we do have some interesting college games coming up this weekend too, right? Let's start with why don't we start with Clemson? Of course, they're playing Boston College at home. They are a 31-point favorite. The lines are crazy. Last week it was 46 or something with Syracuse, but Clemson playing without some players. Which way are you rolling here with the Tigers?
Boston College is actually, their head coach this year, first-year head coach in the ACC. He's done a nice job. 4-2, 3-2 in the ACC. Beats Wake Forest last week. Not Wake Forest. Beat Virginia Tech last week, and it was a great win for that program. So 31 points. It's unreal, these spreads every week, Rob. If the defense in the first half can hold them scoreless, I'll pick the Tigers. But it's just so hard, put so much pressure on your defense to cover these spreads, not to win the game. But 31 points. I got to roll with Boston College on this one. It's like every week I pick Clemson to cover the spread, they don't cover, and every week I don't. They're the hardest team in all of football to bet on. It's unreal. It's just.
I think the safest bet in football is Clemson leads at the half.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm not being a
First half
smart
bet,
aleck.
Clemson.
First half bet, Clemson's normally up huge. I mean, I think they've covered that every game this season.
Yeah, they're a heck of a football team, and Trevor Lawrence. The talk of him maybe coming back next year, he'd be crazy to do it. But the guy hasn't lost a regular season start since he's been in Clemson.
Yeah.
This team is very good. Travis Etienne feels like he's been there forever, and they just have a tremendous offense. And I'm really excited to see Clemson face some tougher competition down the road.
Yeah, and I think that's the big question mark there with Clemson is can they deal well with competition that they haven't really had within the ACC? I mean, the best team they played is Miami, and Miami, you can use the word fraudulent. I mean, you really could. They haven't been exactly the best team this season. So, yeah, that's interesting. I think the game of the week in the SEC is LSU and Auburn. I'm calling this the Who's the Bigger Fraud Bowl, using that F word once again, because LSU, of course, has 2 tough losses on the season, but let's be honest, I think they're a talented team. Auburn, on the other hand, has had 2 wins given to them this season with the help of the SEC blue blood officials, because I fully believe that is out there. And, which way are you thinking with this game? I mean, the line's like 3.5. So will LSU get the go on that? I mean, it looks like it's a simple pick, but then it's not.
Yeah, I mean, they've disappointed me this year. This is a team I really had some high expectations. I know they lost Derek Brown up front, but Bo Nix just hasn't made that leap. You see it with a lot of quarterbacks. After that freshman year, you come back, stuff just starts to click. Haven't seen it with Bo Nix, and that's what's disappointing to me. Also, the play calling has been okay. Chad Morris, a lot of people thought what he's done, the former Clemson offensive coordinator, they haven't clicked yet. And this LSU team finally got on a roll last week against South Carolina, and they didn't even punt the football. I mean, they scored 52 points against a really good South Carolina team that Auburn struggled with 2 weeks ago. So I'm taking LSU on this one. I think they have some guys back now on defense, and they're going to simplify things on the defensive side. I like LSU in a pretty close game. This game's always a good one. So I'll take LSU -3. The line's at 3 right now.
Yeah,
so I'll take LSU.
That's a team that has disappointed. I mean, to be completely honest with you. Another game that's kind of a stub-your-toe game, Notre Dame playing at Georgia Tech. Notre Dame is an 18-point favorite. That's what they opened up as. The Notre Dame, this game and then the game with Clemson, I mean, they are the epitome of what a trap game is. Would you agree?
Yeah, they had some trouble with Louisville a few weeks ago, 12-7. They've also blown some teams out as well. So this is a team that's very hard to bet on as well. This Georgia Tech team, though, I just think that all the momentum they did have at the beginning of the season is starting to fade a little bit. That loss to Clemson a couple weeks ago, I mean, that's just to go through a loss like that on a college level for some of these guys. I mean, that's an embarrassing loss, something some of these guys may not be able to come back from. I mean, I feel like the freshmen and stuff like that, they'll move on, they'll get better, they'll learn from this. But I like Notre Dame in this game. I like Notre Dame big in this game, 37-7, something like that. Some high scoring type game with Notre Dame kind of controlling the pace of play and controlling the ball and not giving Georgia Tech many opportunities. So I'll take Notre Dame, like I said, about 37-7, something like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup to look at this week, and we'll give you a couple of more as we roll along here. Ohio State and Penn State. I'm not a Big Ten guy, but I mean, this is one of the big matchups from the weekend. This is supposed to be a whiteout game, and I've talked about this before. The whole thing with the whiteout at Penn State, every time they do that, it looks like they're just waving a flag of surrender. I don't know why they think this is such a great idea. I mean, maybe this is one of those traditions that I don't get. But they welcome in Penn State. They welcome in Ohio State after Penn State lost at Indiana last weekend. I mean, this matchup kind of lost some of its luster.
Yeah, and I mean, Penn State, this is a game of inches. Football is a game of inches. You hear it your whole life. They literally lost by an inch. I mean, it was the closest of margins you could lose by. I love the play call, Rob. I love the play call. Indiana didn't really deserve to be in that game at that point. They had some lucky breaks at that point to tie it up and get into overtime. They already got a 2-point conversion to force overtime. So they went for 2 again. And I absolutely love the call. I mean, you're playing a top 10 Penn State team.
Why not?
First game back. I love it. I love the call. So you got to give him the Indiana coach credit on that. But Kent State, they're going to give Ohio State a decent game. But this Ohio State team, I mean, Rob, Justin Fields, I mean, he is as good as advertised. I mean, he's the second, third best player in the nation, right behind Trevor Lawrence. And I'd may put him right there at number 2. I mean, what he can do for this offense, I mean, you have to make multiple stops against this Ohio State offense, and it's just very hard to do. And I'm going to take Ohio State in this one. I'll take them, 17, 18 points. I feel like this is that type of game for them. It may be tied up, going into halftime, close game at halftime, but I think Ohio State pull away in the second half.
All right, couple more matchups to tell you about this afternoon. Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder, joining us here. These are SEC games, Mississippi State and Alabama. Alabama's a 33-point favorite. I don't know what we're going to get with the old Pirate, man, but he could come out there and manipulate that offense to play really well. Alabama's defense, by the way, is 12th in the conference. Yes, they are 12th in the conference. That's not a misprint. So maybe Mississippi State scores a little bit. I mean, it seems like everybody else has been able to move the ball on Alabama. Yeah. Still an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Mississippi State's got to score in the 20s probably to cover this game because Alabama's going to score 40, 50 points. I mean, this offense is – and that's what Nick Saban alluded to. It's changed. I mean, it's not really defense wins championships anymore. Offense, I mean, if you don't have a good offense, you're not going to be in very many games because the other team's offense is just so good. So I'm really excited to see this game. It's hard to pick against Alabama. It really is. You got a lot of players leaving the Mississippi State program right now. I think they've lost like 4 guys this week, a bunch of guys before the season started. So Mike Leach is kind of, trying to build this program his way. And I'll pick Alabama. I mean, why not? I'll take them big. I'll take them big. I just don't think Mississippi State scores enough. I say they score maybe, 17 to 24 points, but I just don't think that'll even be enough.
All right, next matchup, Arkansas and Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 15-point favorite to open up. It's dropped to 12, so folks are starting to buy into Sam Pittman and Arkansas a little bit. Which way are you rolling here, sir? Are you going with the upstart, or are you going with Jimbo Fisher?
I'm going with Arkansas on this one, man. This is a game that I thought about putting in my lock for the week, plus 12.5, Arkansas. This may be the most improved team from last year to this year in the entire country. Sam Pittman, he's been known as a great recruiter, but, man, he's doing a great job getting 9 or 10 grad transfers to come over and buy in to what he's doing. This is a sneaky game for Texas A&M. I expect Texas A&M to win a very, very close game, but I will take Arkansas with the 12. I'll lay the 12.5 all day with the Razorbacks for how they've looked this season.
Yeah, you're right, man. And they really have improved. A couple other matchups with Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder, before we get out of here. Mizzou and Florida. You mentioned a team that with Arkansas that's improved. Mizzou last season, everybody's kind of impressed with what they've done this season. They were a 6-6 team last year, and yet people didn't think much of them. New coach, basically new quarterback. They're kind of shocking some folks. What do you think about them heading down to Florida to play the Gators?
Yeah, this is a tough game for me. This is in Missouri. I think I've lost both games I bet against them this year with Alabama, and then of course
LSU.
Last week LSU. I mean, they've actually covered some games, so it's a toss-up. I mean, Florida's offense is potent. Can they make enough stops on defense? Kyle Pitts, I mean, the tight end. If you haven't watched him, guys, 84 for Florida. He is going to be a very, very. He's going to play a long, long time in the NFL. He's a very good tight end they have, and I'll take Florida on this one. I mean, they burned me earlier in the year not beating Texas A&M. That was a big loss for me, but I'll take Florida in this one. Missouri, I just don't think they have enough firepower yet. But the coach from App State, he's doing a hell of a job in his first year.
Coach Eli Drinkowitz, get that name right because I think he's special. Coach Drink, I wouldn't surprise me if they went down there and got the job done at Florida. I don't know who all is going to be out for the Gators as they've been dealing with a lot of COVID issues. And, I mean, they may not be completely ready to go. All right, final game for Tyler Crowder this afternoon, host of Kicking It with Crowder. Georgia and Kentucky. Georgia's a 13-point favorite. They're coming off getting embarrassed by Alabama, a team that in Georgia that they thought Their fans are priceless, by the way. Oh, well, we have the capability of winning the national title, and yet they don't. And they're playing a Kentucky team that got their nose popped by Mizzou last weekend on the road, where for the second time in the last 3 games, Kentucky was held under 100 passing yards. That, my friend, is not very good.
And this Georgia defense is pretty good, okay? They didn't match up well with Alabama. They'll probably see them down the road, though. If they take care of business, they may get another chance at Alabama. The defense played good in the first half, just weren't able to make the adjustments in the second half. And Georgia's defense, though, like you said, Kentucky struggled on offense this year. I mean, they do beat Tennessee a couple weeks ago, but besides that, they've lost to Auburn. They've lost to Mizzou, like you said. So I'll take Georgia with the points in this one. I want to see if Georgia releases JT Daniel. Let them get a little bit of work versus Kentucky defense. They have a decent unit. They just haven't been able to do anything offensively. But I'll take the Bulldogs in this one. And Rob, here's another thing I'm doing, man. I'm rolling with the big dogs. I'm done betting these little small, middle of the road Big 12. I'm done doing that. I'm rolling with the big teams, the Clemson, Ohio State, Bama. I'm rolling with them the rest of the season. I've made up my mind on that one.
Yeah, well, and you know what? It's easy to just look at this Kentucky matchup with Georgia and kind of overthink it. But I agree with you that Georgia's defense is really good. Kentucky's offense is really bad. And when you have strength on weakness, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they held Kentucky to under 250 total yards on Saturday. I know they're on the road, but that defense is going to come out after getting hurt a little bit. And I know that they thought they were going to play well against Alabama, and they didn't. And I think this is kind of their, people need to respect the G, sir. And I think that's the way that, definitely the way the fan base feels. And I'm sure the coaching staff has kind of let them know that too.
Yeah, 31-10 type ball game. I mean, I think that's what this could really be. Like you said, I think Kentucky struggles on offense, but Georgia finds enough ways to get it done for a big matchup with the Florida Gators, I believe, next weekend. So
next weekend's an interesting weekend because you've got LSU playing Alabama, and I think the big matchup in the East too. I got to check my schedule on that, but I know LSU and Alabama play next week.
Georgia, Florida. Yeah, pretty sure it's Georgia, Florida next week.
Well, but you've also got Clemson, Notre Dame next week. So you've got game. That's like the game of the year in the ACC because there's such a talent drop off, in my opinion, after Clemson in the ACC. But if you look next week, it's almost like there aren't a whole lot of great games this weekend, but SEC matchups, right? You've got Florida and Georgia, and actually, no, you don't have Auburn, Alabama and
it's probably the next week.
Yeah, it's probably the week after, but you do have Florida and Georgia next week. Wow, that'd be a very interesting matchup. And that'll be played, I guess, in Jacksonville. And then I think it'll be played the week after that is Alabama and LSU. And so you've got some good games there, but 2 big games next week with that matchup with that we just talked about, and then of course the Clemson Notre Dame game. So looking forward to both of those. All right, so you know what? I have a little. I don't know if you can bet on this or not, but I'm confident that Kentucky will score on defense or special teams tomorrow. On Saturday, because they picked the ball off a lot. They had 9 interceptions over a 2-game period, and I'm not very confident in the Georgia quarterback. Wouldn't surprise me if he threw a pick 6 against Kentucky, and that's all they got as far as points.
Hey, you can bet that kind of stuff, though. So.
Yeah, that might be an interesting bet. Why not? All right, well, Tyler, tell folks where they can find your show, buddy.
Guys, you can find me at Kicking It with Crowder, basically anywhere you find your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, guys. And I'm also going live tonight. I'm actually doing a little special time before the Falcons game. I'm going to go live between 6 and 7 on my Facebook, guys. So check it out.
Yeah, and the cool part is you get to see Tyler's great hair. It's very important. Follow him on Twitter. He's at Kicking It with Crow. Tyler, thanks for joining the show today, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, there you go. Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder. Take a quick break. When we come back, got a couple of headlines we'll hit you with. And then later on, former Gamecock quarterback / linebacker / all kind of stuff. Corey Jenkins joins the show. More of the rundown in just a moment here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, appreciate you guys checking out the show, man. You guys rock over there. If you could like the page, that would be awesome. Like my t-shirt, the Swanee Sanders t-shirt, Saving Columbia Sports Radio. The best choice for this 11 cycle. That's funny.
To get the job done right, you can too.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com for all your auto, home, and business glass needs, or call us at 803-951-7200.
And don't forget, we do home windows, patio doors, tabletop, shower doors, mirrors, and storefronts. If you can see through it, we can do it.
Lindsey Graham talks about what's at stake in this election.
Liberals like Jamie Harrison see the world in a radically different way. They want to expand the court with liberal judges and fundamentally change who we are and what we believe. We can't let that happen. They believe government can solve all of our problems. I don't. They believe in open borders, free health care for illegals, and late-term abortion. I don't. They want to defund the police. I never will.
Jamie Harrison is spending $100 million to defeat Lindsey Graham. $100 million to remake his own liberal image and smear Lindsey Graham. Don't be fooled by the lies and smears. Harrison's campaign is funded by Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and liberals in Hollywood because they want control. Don't let outsiders buy South Carolina.
I'm Lindsey Graham, candidate for the United States Senate. I approve this message because a conservative Supreme Court is worth fighting for.
Paid for by Team.
Not yet. 3:31. I'm calling him then. Former Gamecock linebacker and quarterback Corey Jenkins joins the show in a little bit. Which, by the way, I could say this about Corey. He's not on the phone with us yet. The guy still looks like he could play. Work out in the same gym Corey does. He's in there just throwing weights around like it's nothing. Yeah, kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, looking forward to talking to Corey Jenkins here in just a little bit. So that's going to be some good stuff there. Also, we've got some headlines today. Jimmy's asking where my pink hat is. Of course, I'm doing pink. I'm wearing pink all month for breast cancer awareness, and I forgot my pink hat today. Actually left it at home. It's my fault. So not wearing my pink hat today. I will have it for tomorrow, though. Promise you for that. Anyway, some headlines real quick. The Chicago White Sox have went into the vault, and they are hiring Tony La Russa, three-time World Series champion, four-time manager of the year, coached the White Sox from 79 to 86, also coached the Athletics, coached the Cardinals. Now they're going to bring him out of retirement, basically, to come and run their program. So, yeah, that's stepping back in the world a little bit there. COVID's running rampant on the around the NFL. A Buccaneers staff member is reportedly tested positive. We'll try to give you some info on that. And let's see here. What else do we got? There's one other note that I thought was really interesting. And I don't know how far the Big Ten's going to go. You know, their 21-day window. I kind of wanted to get into this for a moment. They have a 21-day window if someone tests positive for COVID-19. It, my friends, is a mess. That's pretty much the only term that I can use with it. But it's like if one team tests positive, that's it. And you know who's really sitting on eggshells about this is that Ohio State program that, it's kind of fringe that they make it to the college football playoff anyway, only playing 8 games, but they need all 8. I mean, and that's real. If one team misses a game with them, then they're in a world of trouble because they're not going to have enough anyway. I mean, can you put a 7-win team in? And what if it is that 8th game is theoretically your toughest matchup on your schedule? Because let's be honest, the Big Ten didn't really do Ohio State any favors. They gave them a pretty favorable slate as far as Big Ten teams go. So that 21-day window, I don't get it. I think it should be uniform across the board. I think we've talked about this before. A lot of this has to do with the NCAA being absolutely toothless. They should be able to be a governing body. Not just what they think that people should do, not allowing conferences to do whatever it is they want to do. That doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. So one conference is this way, one conference is that way. For things like this, it should be a uniform protocol across the board. If you want to do 21 days, make sure everybody's on 21 days. If you want to do 14 days, fine. But it should be the same for everyone. And the sad thing is that, we goof about the Big Ten and how I don't think they're a viable football conference. But everyone and their brother knows that Ohio State should be mentioned among the top teams in the country simply based on the fact that they've got one of the best offenses in the country. Okay? They're not going to get a chance to shine simply because of their conference. And that is sad. It's just sad. If you want to respond to that, you can follow us on Facebook Live. You can also check us out on via Twitter. Of course, that is at Rob Sounds Good. You can check us out there as well. Some folks send me some messages there, especially telling me that I'm bashing the Big Ten. I'm not really. I'm bashing the way the Big Ten's handling things. Just saying. It's kind of a mess. All right, so former Gamecock linebacker Corey Jenkins is going to join us here in a little bit. I want to get his opinion on what the South Carolina team has done this season, what they can do better. Maybe he's got something positive. There's so much negative out there now with this team and what they can do. So we'll see where Corey Jenkins is on that, and have him look at some SEC games for this weekend. So look forward to talking with Corey here in just a moment. Remember, the podcast will be up this afternoon. If you missed any of Tyler Crowder's picks, hey man, Tyler gives you winners. That's what he does. Follow him at Kicking It with Crow. We've also had some great interviews we've had this week. Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network joined us earlier this week. Yesterday was Levon Kirkland, former Clemson linebacker. He's in the Ring of Honor. Just a great player, great person too, by the way. He's trying to save the world. He really is. Check out that interview that I did yesterday. You'll appreciate that. Also, we had on yesterday AJ Block from Sports Illustrated as with the BC Bulletin to talk a little bit about Boston College. All right, quick break. When we come back, Corey Jenkins joins us here on The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by two juries to two women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-8...
All right, Corey Jenkins on the line with us here in about 90 seconds. We'll go to him. We'll get his opinion on what South Carolina is this year and his thoughts on the SEC games for this weekend. So get Corey's opinion on that. So appreciate you guys checking in over there. If you guys could like and share the page, that would be awesome. Just like the page. You don't have to share it. Just, just click the little like button. Tell your friends about the show. Some crazy idiot that likes to talk football on the air at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No shame in that. Thank you guys to Jimmy and all you other folks over there watching. I know you guys watch every day, so I appreciate that. All right, hold on for me here as we get Corey in with us.
7-6 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy. This is Dan Patrick, and here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-AMG.
The Panthers will host Atlanta tonight to open the NFL's 8th week. Christian McCaffrey not cleared to play after returning to practice this week. Clemson shooting for an undefeated October when they duel with Boston College in Death Valley Saturday. Top-ranked Tigers are already 4-0 this month, and turnovers could go a long way to decide whether North Carolina beats Virginia Saturday night. Tar Heels are 3-16-1 when they turn the ball over more than the Cavaliers. I'm Scott Davidson.
Do you suffer from lead foot? Do goosebumps appear for no reason? Stop living with uninspired performance. Visit MBUSA.com/AMG and find out if a Mercedes-AMG Coupe, sedan, or SUV is right for you. Mercedes-AMG, driving performance.
It's sports radio done only the way Fox can do it.
Always something to talk about. There's always controversy. And
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Welcome back into the rundown. We're going to head out to the hotline and welcome in.
Give some for your sister.
Former, as he's talking to his children. That's fine. That's what I do. I'm with you, Corey, on that.
Oh, I'm good. How you doing?
That's good, man. Corey Jenkins joins us on the program as he's multitasking today. That's what we have to do during this pandemic, right, Corey?
Without a doubt. I love every minute of it, though.
I'm with it too, man. I've enjoyed spending some time in the morning with my son and being a little more active in what he's doing with school, just because we have to be. So got to look at some of the good things here. Speaking of the good things, I want to get your opinion on the South Carolina football team and the season that they've had so far. I mean, they've been through, 5 games, and I feel like the only thing that I'm really sure about with South Carolina is that the defense really isn't that good. I mean, do you have any positives you can take away from this football team?
I mean, me personally, my positive is I'm a Gamecock. And I believe in football teams turning the corner at some point in time. And right now, I think, our biggest deal is just being inconsistent. We're not sure what Gamecock football team is going to show up on Saturdays. And I think that's the biggest question mark for fans of the University of South Carolina. So, one weekend we'll look really good. We'll look really promising. And, it'll look like we're going in the right direction, and then, we'll turn around next weekend and we won't look as good. We won't look as promising, and and so that's the most frustrating of it all. But I know a lot of people are out to get Coach Muschamp's head, and they're talking about Coach T. Rob's head, and the defense is not doing too well, and I'm not going to use the excuse of it being a young group, but we got. I feel like we got some pretty good players on that side of the ball. We just got to bring it all together and play football.
Yeah, and, I wanted to ask you about the quarterback position there, where it seemed like, especially in the world of Gamecock Twitter, which is a bad place to be, there were a lot of people going after Colin Hill and saying, hey, why hasn't Ryan Helinski been given a shot yet? I think Hill has been very solid as a first-year player in the system.
As a quarterback, that's the one thing you got to understand. On wins, you're going to be praised. You're going to be the guy like, oh, yeah, this is our guy. He played a very, very good game, and, the future looks really promising. And then you have a bad game, and it's like, hey, we need to get him out of here. And that's part of having to deal with the fan base of some fans who, just they want every team in the country to win every single game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we hadn't reached that pinnacle to the point to where we're going to go out and win every game. So, Ryan Helinski, played last year, and he had some good and bad things happen his way as well. So, right now, I think Colin Hill is doing a great job. I think, for him being in this, with Mike Bobo and being in the system, but being in the SEC, for his first year, it's a totally different caliber of football than coming from Colorado State. And I think he's playing well, and I think he's going to get better each game. He may have some setbacks, say, for instance, like last weekend. He saw something that he probably hadn't seen before playing at Colorado State. So, I don't crucify guys. I don't sit, because as a player, each guy's out there playing his hardest and doing the best he can do. So, right now that's all we can ask for, and maybe just give a little more effort, be a little more tenacious about it, and just go out and play harder, and
and hopefully that we can turn that corner and be a better football team.
You know, I had on former Clemson linebacker and former pro linebacker as well, Levon Kirkland, yesterday, and I asked him this question. I wanted to ask it to you as well because you played at the college level and at the pro level. With Trevor Lawrence up at Clemson, he kind of dropped a thing yesterday or a couple days ago about, I'm planning to leave, but you never know, that type of thing. If you could sit down and have some lunch with Trevor Lawrence, what would you advise him to do?
Trevor Lawrence, I can't really advise him too much on anything. He's gonna be in a position. He's gonna be the first guy taken in the draft.
Right.
And I don't advise him to go be cautious. I don't go advise him to play timid. I advise him to keep being Trevor Lawrence, keep playing football, keep putting up big numbers, and everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's just I thought it was very kind of a weird statement for him to kind of drop that the other day. And I'm like, hey, you've already mentioned, hey, I'm going to head out. I wonder if he just doesn't want to play for the Jets. That's
well,
I know it sounds silly, but they're not a very good franchise.
They're not, but in situations like that, you as a young man, and if it's your dream to play NFL football, you're blessed to play for any team that decides to say, you know what, we're going to take this kid and draft him first pick overall. It doesn't matter who it is, and as a competitor, regardless if the franchise is good or not, you want to go in and say, you know what, I can make this franchise better. That's what real competitors do. That's what people who love playing the game of football do. You don't want to go to a team that's already really good. So guess what? Now the pressure is going to be even higher because you're expected to perform at a higher level. You're expected to come in and say, you know what, if we won the Super Bowl last year and you come into our team, we expect you to be able to play at a Super Bowl level. Well, Trevor Lawrence is going to be a rookie next year. And you go into an organization that's basically rebuilding, and you got a chance for an organization to rebuild around you. Me personally, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, well, I kind of like that idea too. I mean, it's the old adage of you go play basketball with a bunch of pick-up basketball, and you get the two craziest people that are out there, and you go and win a game. That's more satisfying, in my opinion. But, I mean, I kind of like that aspect of it. Let's look at some SEC games here really quick before we let you out of here today. Of course, Corey Jenkins joining us here on the program. You've got Georgia and Kentucky playing this weekend. Georgia's on the road there. They got popped on the snout the last time they played against Alabama. I love that terminology, by the way. But Kentucky's plays good defense, but, man, their offense is just terrible. What do you think about that game this weekend?
Yeah, in the SEC, if you can't score points with those top teams, then you're not going to be able to compete with them. Basically, Alabama's going to score. Georgia's going to score points, and if you got a really stellar defense, which is, nowadays really hard to come by because of how high-powered the offenses are, if you can hold a team to 14 to 21 points, you got a great chance of winning the game. Because SEC schools right now are all putting up pretty good numbers, pretty good points, and I think that's going to be a good game, but I think, in the end, I think Georgia pulls it out.
With LSU and Auburn this weekend, both teams are kind of searching a little bit. You can make an argument that Auburn had a couple of games just handed to them, and LSU looked to right themselves playing against South Carolina. What do you think about that matchup played down on the Plains?
Well, I just think LSU has found a spark in their freshman quarterback. And, unfortunately against, South Carolina last weekend was his first start, and he played really, really well. And that team played really, really well. So they got a newfound a sense of confidence now going into this week against Auburn, which is going to be a bigger game. I'm sure Auburn is going to try to expose some of his weaknesses of what they saw against us, and probably do some things to him that we didn't get a chance to do and wasn't able to do. So I think that's going to be a pretty good game. Big games like that, you just never know, because the talent level is about equal, the same on both teams. So, I would say you can go with the team that has the home field advantage, but there's really no home field advantage this year considering it's only half capacity.
That's true too. I want to get a couple other matchups with you here. Arkansas is a team that has really played above the level of talent that they have. When you get a new coach in like Sam Pittman, I mean, can you think of another coach that has done a better job in his first season there?
Those guys basically bought into his system and what he wanted to bring to Arkansas. And you can't ask for it to be any better than what they're doing right now. They are actually out there competing in every single game that they're playing this year. So, I expect that to be a dogfight as well. In the SEC, there's really no gimme games. So, in Arkansas now, it's become a much better team. They're playing at a different level of football than they did before. So, I just expect that to be a good game as well.
All right, and then another surprise matchup, Mizzou playing Florida. I said at the beginning of the season, I thought it'd be hard for Mizzou to win 2 or 3 games, but Mizzou's picked up a couple of wins here, and they're looking pretty stout as they head into Florida, even though they're almost a 2-touchdown underdog. Florida has been dealing with the COVID, so that'll be an interesting matchup down in the swamp.
Right. Correct. Again, Mizzou, under a new coach, is also playing at a high level of football. And Florida right now, I think, is starting to be the Florida of old. And they're starting to hit stride, even though they're dealing with that COVID situation. I think they're going to be fine. And it's just, regardless of how many people is in the swamp nowadays, it's just hard to win down there.
Yeah, that's true too, man. I think that's one of the more interesting matchups in the SEC. But I tell you what, man. Hey, Corey, can you tell us a little bit about? Do you put your thoughts out on Twitter or Facebook where folks can follow along with some of your football knowledge?
I normally don't. I just kind of stay away from the putting my thoughts out. With being a former player and then coaching over at Cardinal Newman, I don't try to say too much. I may comment on some things here or there, but I normally try to keep it pretty quiet.
All right. Well, with the stuff you do at Cardinal Newman, man, I mean, how's your guys' season going over there?
We are a really young bunch. We got some kids that's just learning to play football. So we hadn't won a game this year yet. We're 0-5, but we are definitely pushing forward and becoming better each week.
All right. Well, Corey, once again, man, I appreciate you coming on and putting some of your football thoughts out here for us on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Thanks so much, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, my man.
All right. There you go. Corey Jenkins joining us on the program. I like what he said about Arkansas and Mizzou, bringing in those new coaches. So, yeah, I mean, people jumping in early. And when you do that as a program, man, good things happen. So, would anybody be surprised this weekend if Mizzou and Arkansas won those 2 games? You talk about putting the SEC on a spit, basically, where the only team there that is in the college football playoff situation would be Alabama, theoretically, which they have Georgia possibly to play in the SEC championship game, but still. It's going to be interesting, those matchups this weekend. And, that LSU-Auburn game, I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Can that LSU quarterback saddle those guys up and go on the road and pick up another win? I know there's no capacity there, but still, it's going to be tough. Tough game, in my opinion, there for LSU on the road, even though I don't think Auburn is very good. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our final segment of the rundown for you this afternoon. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Thanks, guys, for checking out the show over there. Appreciate y'all.
iHeartRadio Earth knows small changes make a big difference for the environment. Did you know that keeping your tires even a single PSI lower than recommended means worse mileage and more trips to the pump? So do the environment and your wallet a favor and always check the tire pressure. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips on smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Welcome to Ziphole USA, Waves Edition. Whether it's COVID, hurricanes, ballots, or political colors, waves are coming. Are you prepared? For the latest opinions direct from the Ziphole USA app, here's Christina Staffa.
With the election coming up, voter momentum is building around the country. Do you think that the House of Representatives will flip to red or will it stay blue? 64% say yes, it's flipping red. 36% say no, Nancy isn't going anywhere. And in a similar Zip poll, another Zip app user asked, do you think the Senate will flip blue? 75% say no, the Senate will stay red. There are already a lot of problems with the whole mail-in ballot thing. Are you worried that mail-in ballot states will delay election results for days or weeks? 81% of those Zip polled say yes, they're worried, but 19% say they're not. And states that started early voting have seen record turnouts and long lines. Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett.
I believe that a democracy works best when more individuals get involved by voting. And that is exactly why we are taking this unprecedented step to have this expansion of early voting opportunities despite the pandemic.
If you were planning on voting in person, do the long lines everywhere change your mind to mail in your ballot? Of those polled, 87% say no, they're fine waiting in line.
Thanks, Christina. Download Ziphole USA in your favorite app store today. Share your opinions and make sure your voice is heard. We'll have poll results every day on the trending topics taken directly from the Zip app. Paid for by Ziphole USA.
Hi, my name's Tim Forehand. I'm a deputy sheriff, and my job keeping in shape is important. I've tried other products to get my weight down, but nothing has worked like Android 400. In just 3 months, I've dropped 51 pounds, down from 230 to 179. Plus, the weight's come off in the stomach area. I've gone from a snug 36-inch waist to a 32-inch waist, which I was in high school. I highly recommend the Android 400 to all my friends.
Guys, are you frustrated because no matter how hard you try, it seems impossible to lose stubborn belly fat? Then discover why thousands of men each month rely on Andro 400. Lose belly fat, gain energy and confidence, and feel great about yourself. Andro 400, safe, effective, and inexpensive way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
Pay a higher tax rate.
Paying their fair share.
New higher taxes.
Raise taxes. Taxes go up.
Raise taxes.
Pay back taxes.
We'll pay more taxes. Tired of politicians talking about taxes? Do something about your own taxes. We're all going through unconventional times. COVID-19, rising unemployment, increased financial hardship. Do not let the IRS or your back taxes add to an already bad 2020. Let your team specialists at American Tax Solutions help stop the IRS threats and start saving you money. 800-290-8160. The IRS is relentless with back taxes. They will garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your assets. Call your specialists at American Tax Solutions at 800-290-8160. They have the expertise to help stop the collection notices and get that fresh start you deserve. Protect what you earn. Call 800-290-8160 and join the thousands of people who saved money with American Tax Solutions. 800-290-8160. That's 800-290-8160.
13 days of Halloween. One story a night, starting October 19th, ending on Halloween. Produced in immersive 3D audio that you'll have to hear to believe. And starring Keegan-Michael Key as the caretaker.
This, my friend, is Hawthorne Manor. I am its caretaker.
From iHeartRadio and Blumhouse Television, listen to Aaron Mankey's 13 Days of Halloween on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Final segment of the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. One SEC note. This is from Mississippi State. 7 Mississippi State players have entered the NCAA's transfer portal in the last week. 2 of the players leaving, Garrett Schrader and Jalen Maiden, are quarterbacks. One of them is junior wide receiver Terrell Shavers, who has 9 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown through 4 games. Leach was asked on his press conference yesterday, of course, Coach Mike Leach, about that. And Leach says, it's positive from the standpoint we have certain roles and expectations we expect to be followed. If they're not, you're not going to be a part of the program because we have to think about the whole team and not individuals. So folks that are throwing Mississippi State under the bus and Coach Leach under the bus, I don't really see a problem with this. He is basically saying, look, the way that you did things before, we're not going to do them now. We're going to be a team here. And if you don't like that, then you got to go somewhere else. I don't really have a problem with that. Now, it would be nice if they could get some more wins and kind of soften that up a little bit. Go and get a win against Ole Miss at the end of the season in the Egg Bowl. That would be a great season. If you told the Mississippi State fans, look, you're going to have a win over LSU and a win over Ole Miss this season, most of them would have taken that and ran with it. I'm just saying, you got to think about that. That's an interesting thing there with him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that season folds out. We'll have to follow that a little bit here. With that this afternoon, of course, we're going to have our picks tomorrow against the spread. I'll have that for you. We'll go behind enemy lines tomorrow. We'll make sure that you're ready for the Clemson-Boston College game. And whatever else comes up on the rundown. We'll talk about the Carolina Panthers game tonight. Of course, the Panthers are a 2.5-point favorite over the Atlanta Falcons. It's funny, Tyler was talking about, the Panthers may win by a point or two. That's what's happened to Atlanta all season. I mean, it really has. By the way, Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan is next. He's the czar of Clemson Sports. Follow Lawton on Twitter. He's at Clemson Sports. Also, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. He's on today from 4 to 6. We also have, of course, Teddy Hefner in the mornings. He's on from 9 to noon. Podcast for the show will be up at about 5 o'clock today. Be sure to check that out if you want to catch the interviews we did with Tyler or with Corey Jenkins. My name is Rob Sanders. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. We'll see you tomorrow here on Fox Sports Radio 1400.